Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Advanced Bass Fishing, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to spend some time with me on the video. Really appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about bass fishing on a high level, some advanced theory for September bass fishing. We're coming up on the month of September when I'm filming this video. And one of the things I've tried to do here on Advanced Bass Fishing, you guys that have been with the channel for a while, I've moved away from those longer seminar type videos because I really felt people didn't have that much time to commit to it, but I still wanted to put out advanced thought and advanced theory. So we're making them a little bit shorter, and I'm also trying to make them seasonally applicable where you can use them like right now, the tips. And when I talk about stuff like today, I'm going to be talking about bass behavior and what bass do in the month of September. Most guys are going to get bored by this. I'll just tell you right off the bat, unless you're an angler that really is committed to becoming the best that you can possibly be, you're going to find this boring because it is not flashy, but it's something that is it's the foundation of your whole success as a bass angler. And again, unless you're a spotlighter. If you're a spotlighter, what I'm talking about here, it doesn't make any difference. But if you want to approach fishing from a pure standpoint and be able to catch bass, in the traditional ways, this is a necessity for you to understand and learn this. So what I want to talk about today is, like I said, finding bass in the month of September. And the month of September, guys, it's the toughest month of the year to fish by far. I mean, if out of 12 months out of the year, you're going to find that the bass in September are more difficult to catch. They're harder to catch. They're more elusive. They're more scattered than any other time of the year. Now, the only exception is for all you guys that live up north. If you guys are on those big smallmouth lakes up north, the Great Lakes and all that tier states through there, fishing's awesome all summer long, including September. So that's an outlier. For most people like myself that live in the mid part of the country, it's hard to catch a bass in September. It just really is. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about why that is, and then I'll sort of give you guys some tips and advice on sort of how to approach it. In the month of September, I don't think there's another time of year where the bass are more scattered than they are right now, because the reason is you begin to lose the thermocline. So as that thermocline dissipates, you have fish start to use deeper water along with being suspended and along with being in the shallow water and mid depths. Because in the summertime of the year, when you have a thermocline, a lot of times it'll keep those fish out of real deep water. They'll be suspended over deep water and they'll be on the bottom, maybe down to 20 feet, but you don't have these big populations of fish down in 30, 40, 50 foot of water, depending upon your water clarity. So, and they don't school up as much. So you have a lot of individual rogue loner bass that are doing a ton of different things. I mean, literally, it's like in the month of September, there's 50 ways you can possibly catch a bass. You can catch them deep. You can catch them on top. You can catch them in the mid depth. You can catch them around cover. You can catch them chasing shad. There's all over the place. So the thing that you have to do is, in order to not be overwhelmed as far as how to approach a lake or a technique out there, you have to sort of narrow it down, and you have to focus and commit to a specific population of fish. Because always remember this, guys, that bass are like individuals. They all do not act the same. They have individual personalities. Some of them live shallow, some of them live suspended, some of them live deep, some of them live around a boat dock, some of them live just chasing shad. They're all different. But in order for you to have a starting point and a foundation, you have to decide on which one of those populations of bass that you're going to target. Now, out of those options out there, let's say you've got a deep water option, you got a suspended bass option, you've got a mid-depth option, you've got a shallow option. 4 different options out there. The one for me that is by far the most consistent producer of all is the shallow water option. The shallow water option in September is good regardless of the lake water clarity that you have. And you hear me on the channel, guys, I talk a lot about water clarity. It's a huge factor in fishing. But when you're talking about bass fishing in the month of September, you have bass in shallow water. I don't care if the water visibility is 4 inches deep or 30 foot in visibility. There's going to be a population of those bass in shallow water. And the reason they're in shallow water is a lot of times the oxygen levels are a little bit more consistent. The lake is dropping a little bit, and contrary to popular belief, as the lake drops in the fall time of the year, it will push fish even shallower. It doesn't push them deeper. It doesn't back them off. It'll actually put them shallow on very minimal cover. And then on top of that, there's a lot of bait for them this time of year. It's like the water's still warm, so you've got all your bank creatures, your snakes and your frogs and all that type of stuff is still, jumping in the water for them to feed on. You've got crawdad shallow, you got shad shallow, you got perch shallow, you got a lot of different food for them shallow. And that's what those shallow fish are doing. They're hunter-gatherers. They get up there and they cruise the bank. It doesn't matter if the water is clear as a swimming pool or if it's dirty. So one of the things that I do in the month of September that's a little bit different than the rest of the time of year is I sort of look for the extremes. I either look for the most off-color dirty water in the lake or the cleanest water in the lake. So that usually puts me either on the lower end of the lake down by the dam or on the upper end of the lake in the upper river sections or in the upper creek sections. I don't like that in-between mid-lake, middle of the road water clarity. I want dirty water or really clear water. And the two techniques that are by far will be the most productive for you is if you're in the clear water part of your lake in September, the only thing you need to have on is a topwater lure. And some of my favorite topwater lures, guys, is a whopper plopper is really good, a walking topwater like a spook, some type of like a horny toad, a plastic frog reeled across, that's really good. Also, guys, I'll give some bait recommendations in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video if you guys would like to get some of my recommendations. But a really good bait, guys, is that horny toad, especially if the water is real calm. So it's like a subtle little buzz bait. Horny toad, buzz bait, whopper plopper, walking topwater is going to be really good in that clear water. And you don't have to have any cover, and you don't have to fish it early or late in the day or on a cloudy day or around shade. My favorite way to fish on clear water, guys, is I'll put that walking topwater or the buzzer or whatever topwater that I want to throw, and I just cover water on that lower end of the lake. I cover the main lake, I cover the coves down there. If there's some creeks on the lower end of the lake, I just put that trolling motor down and literally cover as much possible water as I can. And even if that water clarity is 10 foot in clarity, I'm still targeting that 2 to 5 foot zone. That's the zone those fish hunt in, and that's what I do. And it's some of the funnest fishing you'll have, guys, because it's like, I'm not going to say you're going to go out and load the boat, but it's typical. I can go down to a lot of clear water lakes in September, and I can get 10 or 12 bites a day on a topwater, and a lot of them will be good ones. So that's my favorite way to fish. Second way is if I do go up the lake and I want to fish in the shallower water. You guys heard me talk about this. It's all about a little crankbait. A little bitty small crankbait, the smaller the better, is going to be your number one bait. My favorite bait is that Megabass Super Z2 crankbait. I'll link it in the description. I usually put it like on 10 to 12 pound line, and I fish it everywhere. I fish it around lay down logs, I fish it around lay down trees, I fish it on rocky banks, I fish it on riprap. It's a little crankbait that's like 1.25 inches long, or just something small. And I don't really like the square bill that much. A lot of guys just automatically go to a square bill, but I like some type of a shallow crankbait that dives down 4 to 6 feet deep, because even though I'm not fishing 4 to 6 foot deep, I'm usually fishing 1 to 3 foot deep. That deeper lip on there digs that bottom harder than like a square bill will. So that little crankbait is super hard to beat. And occasionally I'll flip and pitch like some small bait, like that 4-inch, Zoom Magnum trick worm, the Magnum finesse worm, or some type of little 4-inch worm. I'll pitch and flip that around some type of a cover, usually in black if I'm using one. But you really can't beat that little crankbait. So main thing about the video, guys, in September, either fish clear water with topwaters or that upper end of that lake with little crankbaits, and that's the best way I found to catch them. So hope it helps you guys out. We'll talk later.